Morning, everyone. It's Take Your Sons and Daughters to Work Day, and so I want to welcome our very special guests who are here. And if you would desire, you will get priority on the questions that gets asked. But thank you for being here, and have a wonderful experience with your dads and moms and family members throughout the day. Let me begin by expressing our condolences on the passing of the Honorable David Scott, former chair of the House Agricultural Committee, a tremendous leader who had a tremendous life story and a tremendous commitment to improving the lives of the people that he was privileged to represent in the great state of Georgia, which he loved. He rose up from humble beginnings to become a trailblazing chair of a committee of great importance to the people that he served, and was a leading advocate on a whole host of issues of importance to farm country, to rural America, and to the metro Atlanta region that he served in such a tremendous way. Republicans have made clear that their priority is to continue to fund ICE and the violent Trump mass deportation machine, as opposed to making life better for the American people. Funding for the Department of Homeland Security runs out at the end of this month, and is a bipartisan bill that would fund DHS other than ICE and the violent mass deportation machine that was sent over by the Senate to the House weeks ago. Every single senator, every Democrat, and every Republican supports the bipartisan DHS funding bill that House Republicans have refused to take up because they want to continue to jam their extreme ideology down the throats of the American people. Republicans have spent the last few weeks celebrating themselves with silly resolutions on the House floor, congratulating themselves on bills that they have passed which have actually done damage to the American people, including rural America. It's extraordinary. But no wonder the American people have concluded that Donald Trump and Republicans have failed on the economy, and that it's Democrats who are the ones who are actually focused on driving down the high cost of living, making America an affordable place to live, and improving the quality of life of everyday Americans. Questions? We got a question there. Okay.
Why do voters do Democrats so poorly?
Oh. Did your dad give you that question? It's a great question in that I'm going to have words with you after this, Manu. Listen, I think that we exist in an era right now where the American people are understandably frustrated with institutions because far too many people in this country are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. They can't thrive and can barely survive. And so there's a frustration with Congress. There's a frustration with institutional political parties, whether that's Democrats or Republicans. Certainly a frustration with the courts, with organized religion, with the media. Frustration with institutions of higher education. And, of course, frustration with the current President of the United States of America. There's a great frustration that applies to every organized institution in this country. And Democrats are not immune from that. And we do have a responsibility to continue to convince the American people that as a party, we're actually focused on making their life better, on fixing our broken healthcare system, on cleaning up corruption, on ending this reckless and costly war of choice, and on getting ICE under control. That said, I think what's been clear over the last 16 months is that Democrats continue to win every single meaningful election. And we're in a two-party system. And it's the American people who are going to make a decision, election after election after election. Do we support the Democratic candidate or the Republican candidate? Do we support the Democratic view or the Republican view? And consistently, in state after state, in race after race, in contest after contest, irrefutably, the American people are choosing the Democratic Party. We've got to keep that going all the way through the midterm election and beyond. But the momentum is clearly on the side of House Democrats and the Democratic Party across the country. Right. Go to the back.
Do you have a favorite type of candy, and if so, what is it?
Favorite type of candy?
Yeah.
Now, I really love that question. And I was tempted to actually bring some treats for all of you here, but I do have a special coin set aside for everyone, so we'll make sure that we distribute that to all of you to thank you for your presence here today. I've been trying to eat healthy, and so actually sugar-free Hershey's chocolate has become the candy of my choice. Thanks. There we go. Thanks. Third row. What's next? Well, I think, great question. I think I'm just sticking with the kids today. But in terms of, what comes next, we view as Democrats, we're fighting one battle after another, pushing back against the extremism that we believe is being unleashed on the American people by Donald Trump and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. So we're battling them on the economy, battling them on tariffs, battling them on health care, battling them on ICE funding, battling them on the reckless war of choice, battling them on their gerrymandering scheme, and of course, battling them to make sure we take back control of the House of Representatives. In terms of what's immediately in front of us, legislatively, we're committed to stopping the extreme Republican budget reconciliation bill from passing the House of Representatives. We believe that Congress should be spending its time making life more affordable for the American people, driving down the cost of housing, driving down the cost of health care, driving down the cost of child care, driving down the cost of gasoline prices and groceries and goods. But that's not what Republicans are focused on. Instead, they want to give at least $70 billion to ICE and Donald Trump's violent mass deportation machine. And that's not acceptable. So in terms of what will be in front of us most immediately, we're committed to stopping this reckless Republican budget bill in its tracks next week. Thanks.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I was hoping, as a kid growing up in Brooklyn, to either be a point guard for the New York Knicks or a hip-hop superstar. Needless to say, neither of them worked out for me. But it's an honor to serve as a member of Congress, particularly during a challenging time like this, where, we're at a crossroads at a country, and we're going to have to decide, are we going to move forward or are we going to turn back the clock? Are we going to bring people together? That's our view. Or are we going to continue to tear America apart? Are we going to fight for truth and reconciliation? Or are we going to become a country where lies and propaganda is the order of the day? So, it's an honor right now to serve as a member of Congress, an honor to serve as House Democratic leader. And I encourage all of you, as you think about the careers that you want, to think about public service and to think about one day running for Congress. Thanks. Back row.
If you were to go back and tell your middle school self one thing, what would you say?
Y'all are doing better than Meet the Press interviews right now. I mean, this is incredible. Not to single anyone out. I love all the Sunday show hosts. I think that one of the things that when I'm home and I talk to young people, and then think about that in the context of the question that you asked about what would I tell my middle school self, is that, life is filled with, ups and downs, with highs and lows, right? With peaks and valleys. And you're going to confront challenges in life, that there are times that you're going to be disappointed. There are times that you're going to be knocked down. There are times that you're going to face adversity, right? Trouble. Like, things are not always going to go well, even when you're doing the right thing. And I think it's important to know that. But I learned growing up in Cornerstone Baptist Church, that I still attend today, that a setback is nothing more than a setup for a comeback. And if you approach life with that mentality, you're going to be able to achieve your dreams. Never give up, never give in, as the great John Lewis would tell me and tell others. And I believe right now, the country and the Democratic Party, we're in the midst of a great comeback. And we've had 16 months of it. And Virginia was just another example. And we'll never give up and we'll never give in, because we're fighting, we believe, on the right side of history. Thanks. Take one last question from our junior reporters, and then a few from...
Are you sure the Yankees are going to win the World?
That's right. Did Chad put you up to that question? Where's Chad? He's not here right now. Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that question. I do think, it's been a long time since the Yankees have won the World Series. We've won 27, I believe, is the number in our history, but I don't think we've won one since 2008. And so we're due for one. I think that we're off to a pretty good start. Mets are definitely struggling, but we're off to a pretty good start. Yet the Dodgers are tough, and we'll have some tough adversaries that we'll have to face in the AL East, but hope springs eternal. Now, the baseball season, of course, winds down in the fall. Right now, many of us from back home are focused on the Knicks, who had a great game one, a tough game two. Game three is tonight, and we're hopeful that they'll be successful.
One more junior reporter. Right?
Okay. All right. As long as this is not a question that your dad fed to you.
Well, actually, it is a question that my dad fed.
Okay, that's all right. That's it. See, this is truth coming to us.
He told me it yesterday night. Would you have voted to expel Sheila?
First of all, you did a great job pronouncing her name. She did the right thing in stepping down to focus on the criminal proceeding that she's confronting right now. And as any American citizen, she's entitled to the presumption of innocence, to her day in court, and we'll see how that all unfolds. Okay. Second row, yeah.
So something we teach our kids a lot is compromise, and we are obviously in a very divided government, and I'm very bummed because I would have brought my girls today, and obviously we teach our kids that not everybody gets everything that they want. So tying into that, when was the last time that you had a direct engagement with Speaker Johnson when it comes to DHS funding to try to break this impasse?
Yeah, I spoke to Speaker Johnson, I think it was yesterday morning, but we didn't talk about DHS funding. We will over the next day or so. We talked about FISA 702 and the need to find common ground there if we're going to proceed. But I made clear, as we made clear publicly, there's a trust situation that we confront on FISA 702. We recognize that in the abstract, it's an important tool to help keep the American people safe from foreign terrorist actors. At the same period of time, there is zero reason for us to trust Kash Patel. Why is he still around as the FBI director? He is clearly and deeply flawed and unqualified. And many Republicans know it. And as long as he's still around as the FBI director, particularly with the most recent disclosures that he's weaponizing the Bureau of the FBI, not to keep the American people safe, not to protect us from terrorism, not to go after narco traffickers, but to go after perceived political adversaries, we're going to continue to make clear that Kash Patel's continued presence as the FBI director is going to make bipartisan common ground on the FISA 702 question extremely difficult.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Leader, I'm sorry. What is your reaction to the departure of the Navy Secretary, particularly in the midst of the ongoing Iran war?
Yeah, Pete Hegseth is a complete and total disgrace at this point. And the mismanagement at the Department of Defense is extraordinary. We've lost so many talented, patriotic, skilled, high-ranking officials within our military. And the departure of the Secretary of the Navy is the most recent example. By all accounts, someone who has had exemplary service to this nation, and because of Pete Hegseth's desire to exact retribution on anyone within the Pentagon who doesn't bend the knee to his incompetence, he gets rid of him. In the middle of a conflict that, by all accounts, in the Middle East is not going well for the United States of America. Donald Trump has gotten us into a reckless and costly war of choice in the Middle East. Billions of dollars are being spent to drop bombs on Iran. The regime is still intact. We have not decimated their nuclear stockpile to the extent that it exists. And the Strait of Hormuz is now controlled by Iran, which was not the case prior to Donald Trump starting this conflict. That means, arguably, at least as it relates to leverage that Iran now has that it previously did not possess, Iran's in a stronger position now than it was before Donald Trump started his reckless war of choice. And the American people are worse off, particularly as it relates to the skyrocketing gas prices. So we can ask the question related to many of the high-ranking officials of the Trump administration in terms of why are they still around. Certainly, it's been our view that Pete Hegseth should be gone in the same way that Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem were fired.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Since you're talking about Iran, President Trump said there's no time pressure in negotiations with Iran and a time frame for ending the war, even after extending the ceasefire deadline. In the meantime, he launched personal attacks against you, calling you low IQ and labeling your criticism as treasonous. How do you respond both to the substance of his foreign policy approach and these personal attacks against you?
Yeah, if Donald Trump wants to debate me anytime, any place, in the Oval Office, publicly, on camera, I'd be happy to do it. And we'll see who's intellectually superior in that type of contest. I've got no doubts as to what the outcome would be. And it's extraordinary to me that Donald Trump keeps recycling this low IQ insult. This is from the dumbest president ever to sit at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And there's not even a close second. Instead of insulting people all over the world, and I'm not really worried about what he has to say about me, but he's insulting our allies. He's worsening the United States' security posture in doing so. He's fighting with his own MAGA base. The economy is collapsing. It's a train wreck, which is why it's going to take Democrats to get things back on track.
You talked to Johnson about FISA. Did he read you into where they are, and are you okay with it? Do you expect Democratic support? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I made clear to Speaker Johnson that both Jim Himes and Jamie Raskin were going to be the point people on this as the lead Democrats on the two relevant committees of jurisdiction, Intel and Judiciary, and that if there was a chance for him to achieve somewhat modest Democratic support on a FISA 702 extension, that we needed to make sure we protect the privacy and civil liberties of the American people. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Wait, we're gonna go here.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lear. You made clear Democrats.
Mano's already got two questions in. Let's be clear.
You made clear that Democrats would be interested in playing in Florida if the governor and the legislature there to go through with what you call potential dummy mander. Ron DeSantis in a press conference yesterday offered to pay for you to come down and campaign in Florida, said he'd take you fishing. What's your response to that?
Yeah, HMP just announced a $20 million investment in Florida, making it clear that we're on offense. That's our Democratic gift to Ron DeSantis and the Florida Republicans, who he is putting in jeopardy. Thanks. Come on. Third, I'll go to the back. All right.
Okay. Just want to touch on, David Scott recently passed away, and there's four other members of the 119th Congress who have unfortunately passed away. What would you say about the side effects of serving in the House? Do you feel like that can have an effect on your stress and your health?
Well, public service is a great honor, but we continue to encourage every single member of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, to take good care of themselves, both their physical health as well as their, emotional well-being, because in order for members to be able to serve their communities to the highest degree possible, they've got to be healthy. And, it's a great privilege for all of us to serve. These are very challenging times, and certainly service, places a strain on folks, on their well-being, on their families. But the House is an amazing institution. It's the institution that the framers decided would be the closest to the American people. James Madison, who said that the House should be in intimate sympathy with the American people. And for all of us, it's a privilege to serve in the people's house, to reflect the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations, the fears, the concerns, the anxieties, the passions, the life experiences of the American people. And service is particularly important during challenging times, not easy times, during challenging times, which is why all of us will continue to lean in. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Leader. We've already talked about FISA. Johnson said that he's going to put the budget resolution on the floor next week. The farm bill could potentially come to the floor. What do you make of the agenda next week? How will Democrats approach each of these specific issues? And what do you say to folks out there who are concerned about the cost of living issues that you've spoken about, while none of this is really going to be addressed on the agenda next week?
Well, Republicans have failed to keep their promise to drive down the high cost of living. And Donald Trump, in fact, said that costs would go down on day one. Costs haven't gone down. Costs have gone up in the United States of America. Life is far too expensive. And as Democrats, we remain committed to doing everything possible to ensure that we are improving the ability of the American people to live a comfortable life an affordable life, and the good life. That's what we're all about. Making sure every single American can live the good life. And right now, Donald Trump is failing. Failing on the economy, failing on health care, failing on nutritional assistance, failing on national security, failing on immigration enforcement, and failing on the war. By the way, that's why Donald Trump and Republicans launched this unprecedented gerrymandering scheme, because they don't have anything affirmative to run on. And so they decided that they were going to try to rig the midterm elections by gerrymandering the national congressional map. But that effort has failed. It has failed because Democrats didn't step back. Democrats have fought back all over the place. Democrats won Prop 50 in California. We forced them into a dummy mander in Texas. We stopped them in New Hampshire, stopped them in Nebraska, stopped them in Missouri, stopped them in Indiana, won a seat in Utah, pushed them back in Ohio, a big victory in Virginia, and we're going to keep the pressure on them in Florida. The Trump Republican gerrymandering scheme has failed. Why? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Thank you. And I've got coins for one more. Come on.